So it is Monday, and Monday is usually the day where I organize my week and organize things, and especially this Monday is going to be a bit of a special situation because I've also had the test week. I don't know about you guys, but when I have important tests, and if it's more than just one, usually I stop tidying almost entirely. So yeah, it's a little bit messy. It's not bad. I have to say though, I'm not a naturally tidy person. It's all come over making things habit and watching myself and training myself to reduce the mess. So now I'm at a point where it stresses me out if things are lying around, which didn't used to be like that a lot of years ago. But I have my set routines, and today is what I very fondly call the getting shit together day, which is basically that. Okay, look, so this is what I tend to do when I have a lot of deadlines. I make one Excel sheet. Well, that's not Excel, but you get the idea. I make an Excel sheet that has the dates, the subjects, and also what is going on with this, like if it's a group work or a test or some kind of homework that I have. And then I also write down how many points I'm gonna get for this. If I know it also from the tests, how many points I have to get in total to be positive. And then that is always, it's my visual companion for university, so that I have a reference sheet, and I'm also going to print this and put this somewhere where I have easy access, because this way I make sure to not forget about homeworks or tests as they're coming up. And then on page 2 I put more detailed information to everything, and there it's not really in order and it doesn't have the dates. It just gives me everything the professor said that I have to do. For example, I have a scientific paper-ish thing to write, and here in this column I put, well, first of all I put what subject it's for, what kind of work it is, and then in the first column I put everything the professor said in the lecture was important, because sometimes they add small extra bits and pieces that are not to be found on the slides. And then over here in this second column I have information from the slides in detail, like hard facts, checklist thing. And I do this for every subject, so that I have or get a visual representation of either a checklist, like here, requirements that I have to meet, or when it comes to tests, what the test is going to cover. Yeah, so that's essentially part 1 of my organization. Part 2 is gonna be this beautiful page, except I still have to fill it in for December, which is where I plan what I'm gonna do and when I'm gonna do, to make sure the things you just saw get done, and to make sure they get done as soon as possible, because nobody likes piling up things. This also includes stuff like reading the slides or summarizing the slides or reading certain articles. It's all in here, and yeah, it really breaks those immense tasks down to very manageable tasks. I know exactly my minimum amount of work I have to get done in a day, and once I'm done with that, I'm done and I'm free and I have leisure time. And I personally love leisure time. I don't know about you, but I love leisure time. So it's quite the motivation to finish fast and to possibly also do some more work, because then the next day I might be completely free. So this is how I do it, and I always try to keep my weekends free, or usually I keep my weekends free, so I don't do any work in the weekend, because this is my holy quality time with my boyfriend. So I work extra hard during the week, and if I want an extra free day during the week, I just have to be very productive and do the work of 2 days in 1 day, which sometimes is possible. Sometimes things go faster, sometimes things go slower, but in general this is a system that really works for me. This list is a visual reminder of what I have to do and what I'm gonna do, and I know that if I'm gonna stick with it, it'll be fine. So I'll show you tomorrow how I planned, because this is how I managed to balance university, being a student, also working out, obviously, doing the whole social media thing, adventuring, family, friends, all of that. Yeah, I'll show you tomorrow how I do that. So see you tomorrow in the morning. Here I'm making myself some really quick dinner. I'm just chopping up some vegetables for a soup. Today I'm adding carrots, parsnips and zucchini, and later on some beans. It's all about what I find in the fridge, and I'm just gonna boil it up with one of those broth cubes, but it's not really necessary. You can also use some onions and salt instead. And I'm also making, I don't know what this is called in English, but in German it's called Flammkuchen, and it's a medieval-ish recipe, and it's really easy, you guys. You just add flour, water, oil and salt into a bowl, and I'm also adding some ground cumin. This is my secret. And I mix it all up together until it gets the right consistency. I don't really cook by measurements, but the dough should be just not crumbly. It shouldn't be sticky to the touch at all, kind of like here. And it shouldn't crumble too much if you lay it out, so it should be a smooth dough that's easy to touch for you. And I'm just flattening out by hand. You can always use one of those things that are supposed to make dough thin, I don't know the English word either, or use bottle, it works just as fine, but I'm just using my hands here, and I'm flattening out a bit. Oftentimes I make this in a pan, but not today. And here I'm also making my spread. I'm taking some garlic, and if you're wondering what I'm doing here, I'm removing the seed, because I find that by removing the seed it doesn't give you that bad of a garlic aftertaste, and I use a lot of garlic, so this is a lifesaver. And I'm mixing it up with some vegan cream cheese, I guess, and once again ground cumin, salt, pepper. The ground cumin is really my secret ingredient in this. And then some, I think it's called spring onion, the green part, and that's my favorite topping for Flammkuchen. Here I'm adding some random spices to the soup. That was paprika powder and some beans. I love to drizzle my mushrooms with some olive oil that has a lot of spices in it, a lot of chili in it, and add my topping to my Flammkuchen thing. And in total, I would say it stays in the oven for about 10 to 15 minutes, but I usually make it in pan. So yeah. And here we go. After food, or well, after having my food, I'm starting the next morning. I started with making my template for my calendar, and even though I did it in color, it comes out in grayscale because I don't have a colored ink at home. But I didn't want to go to uni just to have a colorful calendar. I don't quite need that. It's very plain and minimal, and that works for me. And I always start, and I also highly encourage you, before you write yourself a study plan, make a list about all the things that you have to do, like all the assignments you have, and gather your material together. If you do not know what you're up against, how are you going to accomplish those things? It's a very tedious process, because it means going into all the folders and opening up all the files my lecturer has provided me with, and counting how many pages those files have. And I'm going to be writing down, sorted by subject. For example, I'm going to add all the individual files of the slides, and I'm going to count how many pages is this. And as I go, I will add it up together, so I can see that for the end test I have to study, say, 550 pages of slides in law, and I have 208 pages in environmental law, and so on and so forth. All of this comes together on one way too small piece of scrap paper in my case. And yeah, as you can tell, it's a really long process, and here I decided to get myself some tea because I'm still trying to not get sick again, you guys. It is always when you dodge the flu that the flu tries to come back even harder, and my best friend for this is ginger tea, and today I also added some regular tea and some lemon, which I regretted because I'm allergic to lemon, and yeah, my face has a bit of a rash now, but oh well, learning process. When I start to finally write into my sheet, like the Excel sheet, I will start by adding my exams and deadlines first. And I'm going to add them in red because I want them to really stand out. And the next thing I do is I cross off the days where I won't be working or can't be working or I don't want to be working. In my case, it's the weekends. I rather work extra hard during the week as opposed to working every single day of the week and working less, because that makes me feel like I haven't had a proper weekend at all and I haven't had time to relax. So my weekend is kind of sacred to me. And yeah, technically I would also scratch off days where I know I won't be able to study, because I already have something planned that's gonna cover up the whole day. Yeah, as you can see here. Well, and the next step is I take my red little sheet and I will look at how much I have to do, and then I try to estimate how many days I want to dedicate to each task. Say for example, I have 200 pages to read in law, like material, then I will just take those 200 pages and divide it through the amount of days that I kind of want to dedicate to it. And whatever is left is whatever is the outcome is what I will have to get done in a day for those chosen days. And then I will already see if it's a good idea or if it's not a good idea, and I might want to add or remove one of those days. I try to not do more than 50 pages in a day because I'd rather go slow and get my things done as opposed to really cram everything, because first of all I want my memory to be as fresh as possible when it comes to my exams, but also I don't want to overpower myself. I know that there will be days where I just won't be as productive as on other days, and I also know that sometimes you really over or underestimate something, and therefore it's always good to have a bit of a buffer. Usually I don't use a ruler for this, and I remembered why when I was done, because if the lines are too straight, the arrows are not gonna stand out as much. So I had to color code afterwards, which is something that I don't quite do. I'm not really a color coder, not even in my notes. I really love colors, but I don't want my notes or organizational things to be very flashy. It's just very distracting for me. but I didn't want to reprint this. It's just for 2 months. I will be dealing with that, and next time I'm gonna do it without the ruler again to have slightly wonky arrows that stand out more. So this is not a typical Rica plan, but hey ho. That's what it looks like when it's done. It doesn't look as terrifying, doesn't it? That's the nice thing about planning. You can squish very scary tasks into something that looks really doable. And here I'm just renewing my goals for the month and my to-do list for the month, where I once again have all the things I have to do visually present, and we're done. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. I hope it was somewhat helpful to any of you guys, and if it was, let me know in the comments. I'm really looking forward to the conversations, and have a magical day, you guys. Bye bye!